How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the all-new 992.2 generation Porsche Carrera T from a first-person point of view. At the heart of the Carrera T is a 3-liter twin-turbocharged flat six that makes 388 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque. Now, no hybrid assist system, coupled with the only transmission available, a 6-speed manual, makes this the lightest 911 variant that you can possibly buy, with a curb weight of just 3,316 pounds. The new Carrera T has some cool upgrades compared to the last generation. For the first time ever, it's available in either a coupe or cabriolet form. It also introduces rear axle steering. We've got upgraded brakes, 350 millimeter discs at the front, and 6-piston calipers instead of 330 and 4 pistons in the outgoing car. We've got Porsche active suspension management, 10 millimeters lower, as well as bespoke tuning for the Carrera T. But think of the Carrera T as the enthusiast 911 without having to spend GT3 money. It only comes available as a 6-speed manual. How cool is that? The Carrera T comes standard with the upgraded sports exhaust. Now, combining that with the ethos of the Carrera T, which removes all of the unnecessary sound deadening, in coupe form, it even means thinner glass all the way around, results in an in-cabin experience that's incredibly engaging. The exhaust is loud and surprisingly sounds very naturally aspirated-esque until you let off the throttle and you hear those turbos flutter. The easiest way to tell it's a Carrera T if it doesn't have the livery package is all of them come with vanadium gray mirror caps, so provides some really cool contrast against the exterior paint. One of my favorite little Easter eggs of the car is if we hop inside, check this out. It's got a little 6-speed manual gear shifter logo right there, and if we come over to the actual manual, it's got an MT logo. Porsche has always had fantastic interiors, but for the 992.2 generation, they have taken things to an entirely new level. I love the blue plaid accents on the seats. The fit and finish of everything is legitimately spectacular. The new Carrera T comes standard with the Sport Chrono package, giving us that nice chronometer on the dash, but it also comes standard with the GT Sport steering wheel, which has a drive mode selector dial right here to change between Sport, Sport Plus, Normal, and Wet modes. Now, this has the optional Carrera T package, which gives us gentian blue accents that look phenomenal, as well as these blue plaid seats. The little bits of color throughout the interior just feel so awesome, and it actually kind of matches the digital instrument cluster blue as well. Now, we have the 6-speed manual transmission with a walnut shift knob. This is actually to hark back to the Le Mans days in the 60s where Porsche swapped out their aluminum shifter with a wooden one to save just a teeny bit of weight. It also kind of reminds me of the Carrera GT. We'll talk more about the transmission when we get out on the road because it is truly brilliant. The leather-wrapped steering wheel feels great in your hands. And just those little bits of blue accents, the little Easter egg logos, the MT right here, it is just so cool. We've got heated seats, even though this is supposed to be the stripped down, lack of luxury, hardcore enthusiast version, we still have tons of luxury features. We even have upgraded Bose speaker system in here. The multimedia system works fantastic. We have a ton of apps. We even have a performance and sport chrono mode. If we click this, watch what happens to the clock. So we'll start. Go ahead and start recording. Watch that. We're getting an actual analog sport chrono as well as a digital lap timer right here on the display, which is really cool, part of that sport chrono package. Now, coming over to the digital instrument cluster. This is new for the 992.2, and a lot of people thought it was sacrilegious to get rid of that analog instrument cluster. And honestly, seeing it in pictures and videos, I thought the exact same thing. But in reality, the display graphics are so nice and it's fully customizable. I think I actually really like it. Using this controller right here, we can scroll through a variety of different view modes for the instrument cluster, which is pretty cool. We've got a standard 3-dial layout, and you can even put this kind of futuristic, almost 918 Spider style 5 layout dial, which is really nice. All right. How about we take this thing out for a spin, shall we? There are some more controls down here. The front trunk release, this area here where you can open up the rear area of the cabriolet top so that you can actually see a little bit of the engine, which is pretty cool. We've got our seat controls right here, as well as lock and unlock. And this is made of metal, the door lever, and it feels super high quality. behind the wheel of the Carrera T now, and this thing is absolutely brilliant. The turn-in with that rear axle steering is more instantaneous than I have ever felt in a lower trim level of the 911. And the numbers just don't do this thing justice whatsoever. I was almost hesitant to even say 388 horsepower because this car is so much more than horsepower figures. It's the way everything comes together. And because we've got all of that sound deadening removed and the factory sports exhaust, it sounds brilliant in here. I mean, until you let off the accelerator and hear those turbos flutter, it almost sounds naturally aspirated, which is really impressive. Now let's talk about the gearbox, because it's one of the most brilliant elements of the car. I mean, the mechanical grip is just insane. So we've taken the 7-speed from the Carrera, lopped off the 7th gear, and then that gives us a 6-speed manual. And then we've got the linkage and the bearings from the GT3 manual transmission, and it gives us this brilliant short throw, really nice to drive manual transmission with a little bit more positive feedback between shifts than previous gen cars. And it feels so nice. It's just, this whole car feels like it's meant to have a manual transmission. Like everything is built around that. Now with the T, you get that PASM sport suspension that's 10 millimeters lower. It doesn't ride firm whatsoever. I mean, it eats bumps super well. I've driven this around town a bunch. So as a daily driver and a commuter, despite being the performance-based, enthusiast version, a little bit cheaper than a GT3, but still giving you some awesome performance, it also has creature comforts as well, and it's really comfortable around town. And we also have Porsche torque vectoring. So we have a mechanical locking rear diff that's able to send more power to the outside rear wheel during cornering so that you have the most amount of grip possible. And the end result is just incredible. Now we've got auto rev matching on, and you can manually turn that off if you'd like. It is actually really fun. It makes you feel like you're an absolute pro driver. Oh, those downshifts are so nice. The responsiveness of the engine feels very linear as well. Down low, if you get into the 2,000 to 3,000 RPM range, there's a teeny bit of turbo lag, but once you get past that, it just has this surge, this flat line of torque, almost all the way to redline, that feels very, very linear. You've also got these cool shift indicator lights as well, LEDs on the digital instrument cluster that start to illuminate as you get closer and closer to redline. But the capabilities of this car are insane. I feel like on social media, the GT3s and GT3 RSs outshine the entry-level 911s, and it shouldn't be the case. This thing is actually brilliant to drive. So the 911T actually originates all the way back to 1968. So between 1968 and 1973, they built the T version of the 911, which essentially removed all of the unnecessary luxuries in favor of weight savings and performance. It was kind of the stripper version of the 911. Then they brought that back for the 991 generation, and then we had the 992.1, and now the 992.2 generation. And this thing is as good as it's ever been. In fact, it's the best the 911T has ever been in the modern era. It would be really cool to test drive an old 1968 911T to compare the two. Before we continue driving, there's a couple of things I've discovered that are worth mentioning. In the trunk, you have a tire inflator built in case you get a nail in your tire and you need to fill up a little bit of air to get home. That is an awesome feature. And get a load of how detailed and cool that pattern is, kind of a machined brush look in the headlights. Now check this out. I've driven half a tank's worth of fuel, and I still have 207 miles to go. One of my favorite parts of Porsches is the optional extended fuel tank. So we've got a 22.1 gallon tank, and you've got well over 400 miles of range. I was driving this very aggressively. I wouldn't be surprised if you could get 500 miles out of it. Now, the digital instrument cluster has grown on me so much. I honestly was initially afraid that this was going to be one of the parts I didn't like about the car, but the graphics are so crisp and the colors are so nice. This has actually become one of my favorite elements of the car. Now, going over to the multimedia screen, we've got some cool options as well. Ambient lighting, which we can change the color. Really cool to have ambient lighting with a color wheel in a sports car. Now, if we go over to the homepage right here, we've also got some really cool apps. So if we go into performance, that will bring up a brake and throttle map, giving you tons of information while you're driving the car. If you click drive, it'll also give you a live torque readout, which is pretty nice. This thing is so cool. Now, because this is a cabriolet, let's go ahead and drop the top, which is nice that you can do at speed. It is a perfect day to drive this with the top down. Now, there are some differences between the coupe and the cabriolet. Obviously, you get a little bit of a weight penalty, but what's interesting is the cabriolet comes standard with 4 seats, and the coupe comes standard with just the 2 front seats. Obviously, if you're buying the coupe, you're really going for the ultimate weight savings. And personally, I'm a coupe fan, but I can understand the mass appeal of this cabriolet. But for $0, you can option back in those rear seats, which is probably worth doing, especially if you have kids, and it works a little better as luggage storage. Wow, that car has seen better days. Definitely a sign to be careful out here in the canyons. But I think that's what's so brilliant. That was a big bump in the road. This road is not known for being very smooth, and this just absolutely ate it. And I think that's what's so nice about having 388 horsepower is you can push this car a lot harder without being as terrified, because you're not going to reach 100 miles an hour absolutely instantly like you will with a lot of modern sports cars that have 600, 700, 1,000 horsepower. This, you can have fun in the corners, and it is still absolutely no slouch in a straight line once you get into boost. Hopefully the wind noise is fine. I usually drive the cars with the top up, even if it's a convertible, just so that you can hear me a little bit better and there's not too much wind buffeting. But I figured I gotta drop the top a little bit while we're out on these beautiful roads in the cabriolet. I really like this car. I really like it. The cabriolet starts at $152,000. This one as spec is $175,000, so it is a lot of money. But cars are getting insanely expensive these days. I mean, you can option a GT3 or a GT3 RS twice as expensive, more than twice as expensive as this car. So you are still getting a good deal. And I think my route would be buy a coupe with legitimately 0 options. Then you're in the 142, 145 range. You get all of the performance. That PASM, the torque vectoring is all standard. Sure, you might not get a couple of the creature comforts, although this this interior option, the Carrera T interior, is really nice. The blue accents are fantastic. So maybe no options other than just that blue interior, and you've got yourself one heck of an amazing 911. So for the last bit, let's go ahead and put the roof back up. Let's go ahead and pull on that. It goes up and down really quickly. Wow, that house is being built. I've actually got kind of a fun little story about that house. When I originally bought my house in the canyons, I was actually looking at land to build a house out in the canyons. And this was the piece of land that I was looking into buying, and the plans were to make that exact house. It was just a little bit out of my budget, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of it. But that is gonna be absolutely epic. I'm so jealous. All right, I'll let you listen to this thing. It's truly brilliant. The steering is phenomenal. The mechanical grip is awesome. The upgraded brakes are a treat. It's comfortable, it's raw, it sounds good. There's not much to dislike about this car. Obviously, it is expensive, but everything is expensive nowadays, and this thing is just brilliant to drive. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time.